Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brett Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101. Please hit the ups and hit subscribe if you have not already. We're doing a King of the Ring, the last King of the Ring in the anthology to get to today, and it's 2002 WWE King of the Ring. The first King of the Ring with the WWE name. The WWE is named, not WWF. It only had been for about 5 or 6 weeks now. I think this is the second pay-per-view with the WWE name. Judgment Day was the first. The buy rate of this event had 320,000 buys, so that's really good considering the Attitude Era was over. Austin had just left. The Rock was just going to make an appearance. So that's pretty good, 320,000. That's not quite the 400,000s that King of the Ring 2099 pulled, but it's pretty good for June 2002, as the ratings had already took a huge hit. So the buy rate is solid. It took place Sunday night, June the 23rd, 2002. The attendance at Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio was 14,198. This is the 16th King of the Ring tournament in total when you count back to old WWF, but it's just the 10th King of the Ring pay-per-view tournament. And we already know where it took place and it came from. The stage was so great in 2001 that they reused it here in 2002 with some slight modifications. No plexiglass at the bottom for Shane McMahon to go through. More of an HD design in the middle where the throne was instead of the legs of the chair. We got like an HD panel and with like King of the Ring logos and everything flashing on it. So pretty close to the similar stage that we had to King of the Ring 2001, which was an amazing set. Probably one of the best sets ever, if not the best set ever. So you can see why they reused it. Let's get this kicked off, though. The semifinal match, Chris Jericho versus Rob Van Dam. I remember online, RVD, or Chris Jericho, this is before social media, but Chris Jericho spoke to somebody backstage, dirt sheet reporter or whatever, and told, he came on his website. I think everyone had their website back then. I think that's how they communicated. There was discussion forums and stuff, but he either got into it with a reporter or he went on his website and typed something. But I remember on the internet after this match, he said, that's the best you're going to see, like, for an opening match. He says, for an opening match on a pay-per-view, anyone who didn't like the match, because a lot of people complained about it, I don't know who they were because I thought it was fantastic. But I just always remembered that RVD story, or Chris Jericho story. He was very happy with his match with RVD, and he defended it online afterwards, and I don't think he needed to because it was great. They tied up in the center of the ring. They started with chain wrestling, hammer locks into arm bars, into spinning heel kicks, into every other overhead wrist lock, test of strength, leapfrog, shoulder blocks, monkey flips out of the corner, karate thrust kicks, some RVD with a somersault plancha over the top to the floor. Jericho sucks was chanted by Columbus as he trash talks RVD in the corner. RVD used his legs with a takedown, his unorthodox, educated feet, as JR says. Those two lines JR always says, but it's true. RVD comes out of nowhere with his kicks, and he uses them in such good, resourceful ways with great in-ring awareness. RVD with an inside cradle and a long two. Jericho exchanged chops with a front face buster. Jericho used his own wrist tape to choke out RVD at one point. Jericho drove his knee into the spine while stretching the arms of Van Dam. RVD reversed Irish whip to the corner and came out with a rolling thunder after a spinning heel kick. RVD swept the feet of Jericho and then hit an enziguri for a long 2 count near fall. Jericho missed a running bulldog and then hit a release German suplex that RVD kicked out of. Y2J with good in-ring awareness to knock RVD up with his boot and hot-shotted him to the ropes. A split-legged moonsault by RVD in the corner to Jericho, and he kicks out again. Jericho got the walls of Jericho countered this time into an inside cradle, but then a long 2 count. RVD off the ropes catches Jericho, who threw a catapult to him in the corner, but he landed on the top rope instead, and he jumped off at RVD, who connected with a kick. Y2J then used the ropes for leverage for a pinning combo, a running bulldog by Jericho, then the lion salt, but RVD's high kick, RVD kicks out and then does a high kick again. Then he goes for a frog splash, but he missed it. Jericho then capitalized with the lion salt after RVD missed his frog splash, but RVD kicked out again. Close near falls. Awesome wrestling match. Great counters. RVD tried a Hurricane Rana here at the end, countering 2 previous moves by Y2J he hit the walls, but RVD grabbed the ropes. Jericho up top, lands groin first on the top rope. RVD hits a 5-star frog splash and gets the victory at 14:31. Extremely physical, nice offense. That was hard to keep up with, but fun to watch. It was hard to type to do. I didn't even type out, and believe it or not, I didn't even go play by play. I just typed out the important moves, what moves that I felt were important. I didn't type out everything they did. They hit a ton of counters with reversals that I couldn't keep up with. I'm a fast typer, but I'm not that fast. I like reviewing matches this way for a couple reasons. One, because I get a better sense of the rating when I judge a match, when I write it out. When I write a match out, I feel that I'm understanding the match better, so I get a more accurate star rating. And two, just because it's fun. It's fun, and nothing gets missed. Nothing of importance anyway. I try it that way, keep it that way. So it's a classic semifinal match here. There's another reason I rated it out like that, but I can't think of it at the time. But Jericho and RVD put on a fantastic opening match. I rated this 4 stars. Jericho, being a sore loser, then drops RVD. So here we get the battered babyface in the tournament story that Rikishi had last year and Bret Hart had in 1993, and Jake the Snake Roberts had in 96, where they beat the face up, and so he loses in the finals. And it's because of the beating that he took earlier in the night. They do that all the time. I just gave you 3 other examples from the 10 King of the Ring pay-per-views there were. Up next, we got a semifinals match, Brock Lesnar versus Test. After the 4-star opener, we'll see what this semifinals match has. Lesnar was really new at the time, and Test, this is probably Lesnar's 3rd pay-per-view appearance. Backlash and Judgment Day, and then this. Test was trying to get a push here. He won the immunity at the Survivor Series 2001, where he couldn't be fired for a year, so they keep trying to push Test. It just never worked out for him. Fans chanted Goldberg early in this match, as that's who they were comparing Lesnar's push with at the time. Heyman says, watch the boot, as that's one of Test's big moves. Brock comes back and drops elbows, spears Test in the corner, north by northwest. Test gets speared into the corner again, hard to the turnbuckle, and Bret Hart helped train Test, so it's no surprise Test can bump hard into the corner turnbuckle, as Bret Hart is the best at that move. Lesnar scoops up Test and hits a backbreaker with ease. Test fights back, but Brock hit an atomic drop. Lesnar with rights and spears Test into the corner some more. Lesnar shakes off offensive move or a clothesline by Test, and then a full Nelson slam as Heyman yells in distress, "No, Brock, no!" Test goes for his pump handle slam, but Brock countered it. He had it scouted, thanks to Heyman. And Brock again counters his pump handle slam as Test tried it a second time, and then Test tried it a third time and hit it, but Brock kicks out. Test goes, and Heyman's worried. In the end, Test goes for the big boot. Brock ducked and hit a powerbomb attempt. Test lands on his feet, and then he goes for a big boot, but Brock Lesnar kicks out. Ross says, "My God, Brock Lesnar kicks out." Lesnar goes to eat a second big boot, but Heyman instead on the apron distracts Test, and then Test turns around and walks right into an F5, and Lesnar gets the victory at 8-12. So a decent power men's tilt here. It went 8-12. It probably could have been shaved off a couple of minutes. 5 minutes would have been good for this one, but it went 8-12, so I rated it 1 3/4. It could have been 2.5 stars, 2 stars if had it gone a little shorter. Next, there was a hilarious segment. It wasn't after this match. It was somewhere after the 6th or 7th match of the night, but I'm going to talk about it now. There was a hilarious backstage segment with Goldust, Booker T, and The Rock during this pay-per-view where Goldust is dressed as The Rock. And Goldust was dressing up as everyone back then, the Crocodile Hunter, I can't think of all the other ones, Jedi, and a few other ones, but he came dressed as The Rock today. And The Rock says, "Did you pay for that shirt?" And he says, "Good." But The Rock said to Booker T, "Me and you never see eye to eye." And then he looks at Goldust and says, "Me and you are never going to see eye to eye." And The Rock said that there's no way he can be the jabroni beaten pie eaten. And then he says, "People's champ, The Rock." And then Booker T does a rhyme, "Straight from the grill, sucker trashing, 5-time WCW champion." So then Goldust goes to do his rhyme, and he went, How about me, the gold wearing, often oh so daring? And The Rock goes, like, oh so daring? What? And Goldust then went, I'm not good at this. I can't do it. And the fans laughed. It was a great segment. It was one of the better backstage segments they did. And Goldust was such a great character in 2002. His run with Booker T was just epic. But that didn't happen right after that match. That happened after the Hogan Angle match, I believe. The segment that just happened here was Christian and Lance Storm. They basically just cut an anti-America, pro-Canada promo. King on commentary said, has anything ever good came from Canada? And JR said, well, have they ever won anything? King said, and JR's like, well, hockey in the Olympics, Salt Lake City Olympics, damn right, 3 months before this King of the Ring pay-per-view they won. They beat America in the final. Yes, they did, but Americans, you guys, if you're an American watching this, you're probably like, hockey, who cares? And fair enough. We over like hockey in Canada. But it's a great sport. It really is. You just got to understand it. It's not very hard to understand. But anyway, moving on. Hurricane defends his Cruiserweight Championship versus Jamie Noble with Nydia. Nydia and Jamie Noble and Hurricane were all on the SmackDown brand at the time, and the Cruiserweight title was exclusive to SmackDown. So they go to Cole and Taz, who talk about it, and they don't get to commentate, so they hadn't worked that out yet during the brand split where the SmackDown gets to commentate for SmackDown. They just talked about it, the story. They were up in the bleachers, and they talked to Cole and Taz and they talked about the story of the match, and then went right back to JR and King. Nydia was also Hurricane's stalker at the time in a storyline that I completely forgot about. I don't remember this at all. She stole his mask and then got it back, and then Hurricane was looking to get revenge. Nydia comes out in a green cape. Jamie Noble was a newcomer at the time, and both guys exchanged some good holds. Hammerlocks into side headlock takeover, into leg scissors, head scissors, and the like as Hurricane gets a cradle and a near fall. Nydia kisses Hurricane before a drop kick by Noble on the outside to distract him. Noble later fought out of a chokeslam attempt by the Hurricane with a grapevine on Noble. Fans chant, she's a crack whore to Nydia. Hurricane almost got his legs pulled by Nydia on the outside as Noble caught Hurricane and then stomped away on him on the outside. Noble rammed Hurricane into the corner a few times hard, hit a snap suplex, and got a near fall. Nydia's cheerleading on the outside was often, and it was pretty loud. An abdominal stretch into a side suplex by Noble, and then a near fall. Hurricane hit an inside cradle out of nowhere and got a near fall. Noble had a Hurricane on his shoulders and slammed him back first. A sitting abdominal stretch by Noble. Good scientific maneuvers during this match by Jamie Noble. Hurricane countered back with a jawbreaker. Then Noble came back up and put him in a sleeper. In the end, Hurricane with a flying neckbreaker off the corner turnbuckle was countered with a beautiful belly-to-back suplex with a bridge by Noble. Hurricane flied off the top after this with a big cross body, and he went flying. The floor catching a huge hang time. Noble then, with a drop kick in midair, Noble got up to the Hurricane with a suplex attempt to the floor. Hurricane then... this is near the end. Standing on the top rope with Noble, hit a huge neck breaker right off the top. Nydia then got on the apron with Hurricane covering Noble. Hurricane let Noble run into Nydia, and a choke slam by Hurricane, who gets a long two. Hurricane then off the top by Noble, hit groin first on the top turnbuckle, and then a huge powerbomb by Noble got the 3 count. So we got a new Cruiserweight champion at 11:58. Some solid wrestling in this one. I rated it 3 stars. So far in the night, we got a 4-star semifinal with a star and 3/4 semifinal, and now we got a 3-star Cruiserweight match. Jamie Noble's the new Cruiserweight champion at 11:58 to beat Hurricane. Eddie Guerrero then went over backstage his family, who he wanted to say hi to, and he's naming his cousins, he's naming his ex-girlfriends, for all we know. He just went on a rant for a minute or two about who he wants to dedicate this to. They ran a good promo on Ric Flair with a ton of charisma with Terry Runnels, who was an underrated ring announcer at the time. She seemed good in this role. In fact, her time with WCW and the Attitude Era with Goldust, I think she deserves a Hall of Fame spot now that I think of it, especially since they have inducted who they've inducted over the years. Most women are just because they've wrestled and been a woman's personality in other eras, not just the WWE. So Terry Runnels, I think Marlena, Terry is her real name, I believe. I think she deserves a Hall of Fame spot. Just thought I'd mention that. Ric Flair versus Eddie Guerrero. So we've seen these two go at it in WCW a few times. Flair was old, but not super old at the time, so you could still believe that he was competing. And this one was 2002, 8 years after the Austin and Pillman segment making fun of his age. A Flair for the old. Mocking the Starrcade 83s, of course, Flair for the gold. Eddie Guerrero says he's in his physical prime. Ric Flair tries to tie up with Eddie. If anyone doesn't know, this was supposed to be Austin versus Eddie, as we all know. Or maybe you didn't. If you didn't know, now you do. Austin walked out, though. King tries to bury Austin on commentary, saying Eddie would have beat Austin anyway. I could see Austin and Eddie doing a program into SummerSlam with Eddie getting the ultimate win, but I don't know if he would have beat Austin at the King of the Ring. I think Austin would have won. I think that would have made Austin victorious in that match. Both tie up, and Eddie with a hard chop to him. Flair's woos as he slaps himself and runs the ropes. Eddie Guerrero says, "Orale Holmes, por familia ese vato." Not really, but he does speak Spanish and starts going, "Orale." A low blow by the dirtiest player in the game. JR calls it a very physical night here at the King of the Ring. What a pay-per-view isn't physical night, though. Seriously. Like, what pay-per-view isn't a physical night? They're all wrestling matches. It's going to be a physical night no matter what pay-per-view it is. Even the bad ones. Guerrero out-wrestled in the early stages by Flair. Guerrero on the outside comes into the ring. There was an Eddie Mows My Lawn sign, and that got a lot of laughs when it was on the Titantron by the Nationwide Arena in Columbus. Eddie comes into the ring with rolling his way over with the top front face lock. A lot of counters and suplexes in this one. Rick with an inside cradle and a near fall. Try to make him submit with the figure four. Guerrero doesn't break until a long 4 count, so vicious rights. Eddie with great heel work. Guerrero charged at Flair as he elevated him over the top rope and hit a face, and Flair flopped with his face to the ground while Eddie was on the outside. So both men were down. Eddie Guerrero then hung him on the top rope in a vertical suplex by Eddie to Flair. Flair then went for the figure four, torquing the leg. Then Benoit walks to the ring. Flair hits a figure four leg lock. Benoit just returned from injury after being out for a year. At the last King of the Ring pay-per-view was the last time Benoit was seen. And he had returned a few weeks before this on Raw, I believe in his hometown of Edmonton when he turned heel on Austin. The story here was that Benoit and Eddie were blaming Flair for Austin leaving the WWF because Flair was a part-time owner at the time in kayfabe. So two of the greatest in-ring performers should be capable of more than this than that they offered in this match. Benoit attacked Flair with the crossface while Eddie Guerrero distracted the ref. Baba then hit the Bubba Bomb on Eddie, and Benoit chased him off. So Flair rolled back in the ring and covered Eddie at 17 minutes even, and this one ended. Not sure why Flair would have gotten the win over Eddie at this point in his career. Flair went on to beat Jericho at SummerSlam a couple months after this as well. Guerrero and Jericho shouldn't be losing to a Ric Flair of this age when he wasn't even being pushed. The match again could have been a lot better. So I rated it 2 stars and 3/4, and I think I'm being generous with that one for Flair and Eddie. Because it's Flair and Eddie, so it's not going to be terrible, and it wasn't terrible. We go to the World, the old WWF New York, where Regal and Nowinski are sitting down eating and cutting a promo. They're making fun of the waitress's what college she went to, so the waitress sticks her finger in Nowinski's food and then serves it to him. Gee, I wonder why the restaurant didn't work out, Vince. That's not the reason, but it's not the best marketing for your WWF New York, the World, as they called it this time, when with waitresses sticking their fingers in your food. Trish Stratus versus Molly Holly for the Women's Championship. Trish Stratus in the ring with Molly. Trish was the defending champion. Molly held an armbar on Trish. Fans chanted, "We want puppies." I wonder how these ladies took that. They're wrestling a good match here, and the fans are chanting for puppies. It's got to be, but you can't blame the fans. That's what they were programmed by King and by Jerry Lawler to do. They were programmed. They were, women's wrestling was not looked at as, oh, let's see what these women can do. It was, let's see if their TNA can fall out. And how is the TNA looking? And I'll admit, back then, I was watching it for the TNA too. I didn't care about ladies wrestling because they didn't give us a reason to. But now that we look back at matches like this, it's really a shame because Molly, like, these are underrated matches. Like, a lot of them are underrated, and the woman really spent a lot of time on them. So you got to give them props. Molly had a ton of nice moves in this match. Arm bars. Molly then goes up to the top and get caught as Stratus was pushed off. Then Trish, with her leg strength, knocked her off with a Hurricane Rana of sorts. Trish slapped her ass to mock Molly's ass, I guess. And then Trish got hit with a jawbreaker. Trish with another high kick and a Stratusfaction attempt. Molly into a suplex with a bridge and just a 2 count. Molly's furious. Molly slams Trish down on the mat. A Molly go round misses, and Trish rolled up Molly, and she rolls up Trish, grabbing the tights. Molly wins the Women's Championship at 5:05. Pretty decent match here. 2.5 stars, I give it. Next, we have Kurt Angle and Hollywood Hogan. Angle still had his wig and helmet at the time because he had shaved the month before against Edge at Judgment Day. Hollywood Hogan coming off an undisputed title run at Mania, where he became a godlike face again. Angle can't understand why Hogan's an American hero. He says Vince just gave Hogan the character, while Angle's a real American hero, and he's chanted that he sucks. He doesn't get it. King talks about Hogan being a great entertainer. Angle, a long reverse chinlock in this one. Hogan kicked out of the Angle slam. Hogan then begins to Hulk up and goes and hits the leg drop, but Angle kicked out. Hogan missed a boot, and Angle gets out of the ring. Hogan with a chair shot and a leg drop, but Angle counters it into the ankle lock. Hogan gets dragged back from the ropes, and at 12:05, Hogan taps out to the ankle lock. Hollywood Hogan put over Angle here, and rightfully so. The match was your average Hogan match with a twist ending of the ankle anyway. That was a bad joke. 2 stars. Now we got the King of the Ring finals, the second last match of the night. Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus RVD. RVD was selling the injured ribs here, and this is a relatively short King of the Ring final between the two. They wrestle a better match at Vengeance the next month. Brock earned the right to move on at 5:36. Lesnar overpowered Van Dam, hitting him hard to the canvas. He injured the back of RVD. Lesnar just threw him around like he was nothing. Van Dam used his feet to quicken the pace with thrust kicks and a rolling thunder. RVD went up top for a 5-star frog splash, but Heyman got the official involved. RVD still landed on Brock for a 2. RVD tried a crossbody, but Lesnar caught RVD in midair and hit him with an F5 for the victory at 5:39. And like I said, it was a really quick but a decent enough match. I gave it 2 stars. Now we have the main event, The Undertaker defending the WWE Undisputed title against Triple H. H had won that title at WrestleMania, but he lost it to Hogan the next month. Then Taker beat Hogan the next month. Let's see if the title changing hands streak continues for a 4th straight month. If it does, Triple H would win the title back, but The Undertaker is still the champion here. The Undertaker, I think, just wrestled Jeff Hardy in a ladder match on Raw that was memorable for the title. It was either before King of the Ring or after King of the Ring. I think it would be after, actually, because Undertaker does retain here. The Rock was a part of this main event as he was watching closely. The Undertaker with right hands and was taken to the outside. Taker tells the ref to shut up as Triple H shoved Taker's head into the steel steps. Both guys were brawling and doing it at a relatively slow pace. This is the same pace Taker wrestled at Backlash 2 months before in this version versus Steve Austin. For whatever reason, Undertaker matches were not that great around this time outside the Jeff Hardy ladder match. But yeah, Steve Austin, Undertaker, Ric Flair, all 3 of those guys' matches around mid-2002 left more to be desired. Even Triple H, coming back from the quad injury, I don't think he was his natural self right away. His match with Jericho at WrestleMania was disappointing. He got put in there with Hogan at Backlash, so of course that's going to be a hard one to pull through on. But yeah, Undertaker and Triple H were capable of a lot more here. They kind of let everyone down. Rock shows up with his music and all once Taker had chokeslammed everybody with the official out. The Rock, because Taker's the heel. The Rock then goes over to Heyman, who runs out of the ring and gets on commentary. The ladies behind the Rock on commentary were jumping up and down like they were girls at a rock concert. They're starstruck. Taker grabbed a chair, but Triple H fought back. Triple H hits him with a facebuster, then clotheslines him to the floor. H unleashes lefts and rights to the old dead man. The Undertaker with a hard shot to the Rock at commentary, then grabs a chair to hit the game on the outside, but the Rock stops him and lays a smackdown on the Undertaker. Rock goes to hit Taker with the chair and hits Triple H instead as Taker ducks. Then Taker throws Rock into the ring post. Triple H bleeding after the Rock's inadvertent chair shot. Taker wants Triple H to turn around, and Taker goes for the last ride. He hits it on a bloody challenger. Another ref comes down as Taker covers Triple H, but he kicks out. Rock back in and hits a rock bottom to The Undertaker, so both men are down. Rock then walks to the back. Triple H with a long 2. Hebner counted as slow as he did in the first ever Hell in a Cell with Shawn and Taker. Remember that long... I won't do it a third time because it's long. But remember that? Yeah. That's how he counted here. Triple H scores with the pedigree and covers Undertaker, but the official was knocked down in a collision again. Nick Patrick ran down, and he was knocked down by Taker earlier. Earl Hebner came down. Taker hit a low blow behind Hebner. And then at 23 minutes, Taker gets the victory with a roll-up using the tights. The match was disappointing considering who's involved. I still give it 2 stars and a quarter just for the Rock's run in and for the fact that it wasn't terrible, but it was bad considering the 2. For whatever reason, the crowd didn't care about the match either. And quite frankly, it wasn't terrific, so they were right. So overall, the show had a decent King of the Ring tournament, semis, and final. It had a good winner in Brock Lesnar. Angle and Hogan was decent. Flair and Guerrero was alright. Would have been better with Austin and not injured Benoit. If Austin and Benoit were both on this event, it would have been a lot better. The main event was a letdown, and that always factors in huge when grading a pay-per-view, unfortunately, for this show. So I give the event a 6 out of 10. The Cruiserweight match was pretty good. The Y2J RVD match was excellent. That finishes the King of the Ring pay-per-views now. I've gone through all of them from 93 to 02. I'll now shift to the Monday Night Wars, Raw and Nitro, as well as Survivor Series 1987 to 2022, as I just reviewed 2023 last night, or not last night, a couple days ago. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep watching these reviews. I'll keep doing them, and please be a part of the future ones to come, especially with the Monday Night Wars. You can go back and watch those or not, or just check out the review. I'm Brett Mix, and I'm out.